Hello, everybody. For the second part of the assessment of the thoracic cavity, we have the heart assessment. So, as you can see in the picture on the right, you have there, that's an actual heart. Okay? So, yung puso talaga yan ng tao. So, you can see there the different chambers, the four chambers of the heart, the right, the right and the left atrium, the right and the left ventricle, and as well as the aorta. So, yung malaking vessel dyan sa taas, that's the aorta, the cut aorta. Okay? So, and then you have the different blood vessels that supplies the deeper portions of the heart. Now, as
Veins are blood vessels containing blood flowing to the heart, while arteries have blood flowing from the heart. The blue is representative of blood vessels containing deoxygenated blood, while the red blood vessels have oxygenated blood fresh from the lungs. Now, let's follow the path of the blood through the heart. The superior vena cava receives blood from the head, neck, upper limbs, and chest. Meanwhile, the inferior vena cava receives blood from the trunk, viscera, and lower limbs. Both the superior and inferior vena cava end up in the right atrium, one of the four chambers of the heart. The heart not only has four chambers, it also has four valves. The purpose of the valves is to keep blood moving in the right direction and not flow backwards. Blood exits the right atrium through the tricuspid valve, so called because it has three flaps, and enters the right ventricle. The blood exits the right ventricle through the pulmonary valve and enters the pulmonary artery. Again, it is an artery because blood is flowing away from the heart, but it is blue because it lacks oxygen. The pulmonary artery then splits into the left and right pulmonary arteries, which go to each respective lung. In the lungs, gas exchange occurs. The blood discards carbon dioxide and picks up oxygen. Now, blood comes back from the lungs through the pulmonary veins, entering the left atrium. Next, the blood is pumped into the left ventricle through the mitral or bicuspid valve. Finally, the oxygenated blood leaves the left ventricle through the aortic semilunar valve, entering the aortic arch. The aorta, which is the largest of all the arteries, distributes the oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. The aortic arch has 3 major branches, which supply the head and arms with blood. Then the aorta curls downward behind the heart, forming the descending aorta, which descends through the chest and continues down through the abdomen. In the abdomen, the descending aorta splits to supply the pelvis and legs with blood.
One important thing to remember and to memorize, of course, for the heart assessment are the areas where we can auscultate for the aortic sounds, pulmonic, mitral, and tricuspid. So you have to memorize this by heart. Okay, look on the figure. Look at the figure on your left. So you labeled figure 9-41. Again, these illustrations were taken from your textbook, okay, Bates. Alright, now the aortic area, okay, will be best heard when you place your stethoscope at the second right intercostal space. So, kaya importante na wag nyo kalilimutan yung inyong, how are you going to locate the second intercostal space. So, we've reviewed that already last week. Alright, so, the second right intercostal space, sternal border. Okay? So, ibig sabihin nandoon sa malapit sa border ng sternum. Okay? And then, opposite the aortic area, you have the pulmonic area. So, you place your stethoscope on the left second intercostal space, sternal border. Okay? So, opposite lang sila. So, yung nasa right, okay, right, second intercostal space, you have there the aortic. And then sa kabila, opposite that, you have the pulmonic area, the second right, second left intercostal space, pulmonic. Okay. And then next, you have the mitral area. The mitral area also corresponds to the apex of the heart. And then you have the tricuspid on the other side. So yung mitral area, or the apex of the heart, again, is best heard when you place your stethoscope at the fifth intercostal space, left mid-clavicular line. So kahit magkabali-baligtad yun, okay lang. Okay? So place your stethoscope on the fifth left intercostal space, mid-clavicular line. So you draw an imaginary line at the middle of the clavicle, vertical line, and then on the fifth ICS, nandoon yung apex of the heart. Okay? And just right beside the apex or the mitral area, remember the mitral area corresponds to the apex of the heart, you can hear the tricuspid area. So, kung si apex nasa fifth left intercostal space, mid-clavicular line, si tricuspid area naman is best heard when you place your stethoscope on the fourth and the fifth intercostal space, left sternal border. Okay? So, nasa left, pero this time, sternal border. So, malapit dun sa sternum. Okay, so those are the 4 auscultatory sites or areas on the chest wall. Remember, APMT, aortic, pulmonic, mitral, and then tricuspid. Ulit, si aortic area heard on the second right intercostal space, sternal border. Opposite that, you have the second left intercostal space, sternal border for the pulmonic area. And then for the mitral area or the apex of the heart, you have the fifth intercostal space, left mid-clavicular line. And then the tricuspid area is again best heard on the fourth and the fifth intercostal space, left sternal border. So, huwag kakalimutan yung mga locations na yan. And then, sa baba, meron kayong figure dyan na purely, rib cage lang natin. So, para lang makita ninyo yung mga locations nitong auscultatory respiratory areas. Maybe you have heard already from your anatomy class about the Erb's point. Ano ba yung Erb's point and what is its significance in cardiology? Okay, now the Erb's point refers to the third intercostal space on the left sternal border. So right below the pulmonic region, okay, the pulmonic area. Okay, so where the heart sounds caused by the semilunar valves. Ano ba yung mga semilunar valves ulit? The aortic and the pulmonic valves is best auscultated. Okay? Ulit, Erb's point refers to the third intercostal space on the left sternal border where the second heart sounds that are caused by the semilunar valves, aortic and pulmonic valves are best auscultated. So, yan ang best area, actually, the Erb's point. For, 'di ba? Pero 'di ba dito based on the discussion a while ago, meron tayong separate portions where you can auscultate the aortic and the pulmonic valve sounds. Okay? So, pero we have, I just want you to know that we have um, a location, okay, in the chest wall called as the Erb's point kung gusto nyo ng shortcut. Okay? Sa third intercostal space, left sternal border. Alright? So, yan yung Erb's point. So, you can hear there murmurs. Okay? So, these are abnormal heart sounds. Mamaya yan, meron tayo dyan na naka-insert na video so that you can appreciate the heart sounds natin. Now, for the procedures that you have to follow, again, as always, number one, you introduce yourself to the patient. Then you gather all the equipments that you will need. Well, actually, for the heart assessment, you will just be needing your stethoscope. Then you explain the procedure to your patient. So you tell your patient that you will be listening in various areas of the chest wall to be able to listen and appreciate the different heart sounds. And if ever there are any abnormal sounds that you will be able to hear. Okay? And then before you start the procedure, you do hand washing, maintain the privacy of your patient, and like what you did sa lung assessment, you extract a little bit of history. Like you can ask your patient if the patient has a known history of cardiovascular disease in the family, or the patient himself or herself. Does she have an elevated blood pressure? Or baka yun nga, may diagnose ba siya with hypertension? And if ever there's any, or if ever she has hypertension, are there any medications that are being taken? And if there's any medication, so again, you ask the frequency and the dose, okay, and how long has the patient been on that medication. Cardiovascular, pati mga blood vessel disorders. Okay, so yun while you are preparing the patient for the procedure itself. Then, of course, you start with inspection. So, you inspect the skin. So, this is to evaluate the general appearance of the patient. And this will continue all throughout the assessment. So, you have to include all body surfaces, and you take note of the skin color, the temperature, and the texture. Okay? So, of course, yung texture, mamaya sa palpation nyo yan ma-assess. Okay, so like what I have been mentioning to you, okay, before pa na yung skin assessment will be done, okay, sa lahat ng body regions that you will be assessing. So, yung nauna kanina is peripheral. So, when you say peripheral sa extremities, we have another type of cyanosis called as the central cyanosis. Okay, in central cyanosis, you observe a bluish tinge in the tongue, the patient's tongue, and in the buccal mucosa, so sa lips. tongue and the lips. Okay, so this denotes a more serious disorder like cardiac disorders brought about by pulmonary edema and a congestive heart disease, okay, in which venous blood passes through the pulmonary circulation, sorry for the piyok, passes through the pulmonary circulation without being oxygenated. So, yung nagsisirculate na blood ng pasyente is unoxygenated. Alright? So, mas delikado to compared to your peripheral cyanosis. And then another one, so this is a skin finding. You have xanthelasma. Yung picture dyan sa taas, parang merong fleshy uh, portion sa may eyelids. Okay, xanthelasma is a yellowish, slightly raised plaque over the skin and may be observed along the nasal portion of one or both eyelids as you can see in the picture and may indicate elevated cholesterol levels. So, hypercholesterolemia ang tawag doon. Now, bakit kailangan kasama yan? Bakit kasama sa cardiovascular assessment yan? Kasi, pag nag-develop ng xanthelasma, ibig sabihin mataas na ang blood cholesterol. So, it means that the cardiovascular system may also be compromised already. So, baka mataas na rin yung, baka tumataas na rin yung blood pressure ng pasyente ninyo. And when the blood pressure is increased, there is an increased likelihood of the patient developing angina pectoris or yung chest pain, MI, yung mga atake sa puso. And then, later on, pwede mag-develop ng congestive heart failure. And worst is pwede rin siyang mag-stroke. Okay? So, kaya related yan. Kaya related yan si xanthelasma sa cardiovascular system assessment. Okay, what else? Skin turgor. So, you still have to assess the skin turgor. Now, a reduced skin turgor, yan yung nakita nyo dyan sa picture, occurs with dehydration and aging. And then you check also for the temperature and the moistness of the skin. And these are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. So, normally, the skin is warm and dry. So, yun yung ire-report ninyo sa inspection findings ninyo. Skin is warm and dry. And if the patient is under stress, so the hands may become cool and moist. So, depende again yan sa magiging assessment ninyo, magiging reaction ng pasyente. Now, in cardiogenic shock, okay, the sympathetic nervous system stimulation causes vasoconstriction. Okay, and the skin becomes cold and clammy. So, kapag in shock yung pasyente, yan yung pwedeng mangyari sa kanya. And then pay particular attention to the chest wall and the epigastrium. Now, these two areas of the chest is inspected while the client is in supine position. So, kanina rin naman, okay? So, magkakasunod yun ang gagawin nito. So, you position the patient to supine position and observe for any pulsation and heaves or lifts over the chest wall. Yung mga visible pulsations that is called as heaves or lifts. Kasi normally, yung pulsation ng heart, hindi naman nakikita over the chest wall unless sobrang payat yung pasyente natin. Okay? Anong indication ba nito? If you are able to see heaves or lifts over the chest wall, it means that it may mean rather, number one, the heart is pumping hardly. So, ang lakas ng pulsations ng heart or the heart may be enlarged. Okay? Enlarge yung heart so that yung apex niya is directly in contact with the chest wall already. Right? So, you check for those things. Okay, check for any skin changes. Like the first one that you can see there, you have ecchymosis. Again, ecchymosis or a bruise, pasa in Tagalog. So this is a purplish color, purplish blue color that is fading to green, yellow, or brown over time. So kapag medyo matagal na yung pasa, medyo yellowish or greenish na. So siguro, lahat tayo naka-encounter na nagkaroon tayo ng pasa. Okay? So, this is, ecchymosis is associated with the presence of blood outside of the blood vessels and usually due to trauma. Now, I think I've mentioned this to you na if the bruises are seen in areas that are prone to bumps, okay lang yon. Pero magsuspecha kayo, you think otherwise if the bruises are found in areas that are usually covered, like the thorax, the abdomen, or the back of the thigh na hindi naman madalas mauntog kasi baka ginugulpe yung pasyente nyo. So maybe your patient is a victim of abuse, okay, na you have to report to the authorities. Okay, so patients who are receiving anticoagulants should be carefully observed for any unexplained ecchymosis. Anticoagulant prevents the blood to clot. So baka mabilis magputukan yung mga blood vessels niya. Yan ang indication niya. So, baka kailangan i-taper down yung dose ng anticoagulant ng pasyente. And in these patients, excessive bruising indicates prolonged clotting time. So, your prothrombin and your partial thromboplastin time, these are laboratory tests that are caused by anticoagulant dosage that is too high. So, like what I have mentioned, baka kailangang bawasan. Okay, other skin changes that you can observe smaller than an ecchymosis are purpura, and smaller than a purpura yung mga pin-sized discoloration natin. Those are called as petechiae. Okay? So, yung mga tuldok-tuldok. All of this, ecchymosis, purpura, and petechiae are signs of bleeding. The presence of blood, okay, outside of the blood vessels. Wounds, scars, and tissues that are surrounding implanted devices should also be examined. For example, yung mga pacemakers. Okay, kung may pacemaker yung pasyente, examine nyo yung wound dun. Kasi baka pag medyo mapula yung area, baka inflamed yung area. Okay? Wounds are assessed for adequate healing, and any scars from previous surgeries are to be noted. Now, the skin surrounding, like what I've said, a pacemaker or an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, meron kasi yan yung automatic na magpa-fire ng impulse. Yung defibrillator na rin nakikita niyo yun sa mga movies, yung kinukuryente, yung clear, so siguro ng clear, tapos isa-shock yung puso. Meron kasi yan na naka-implant na. So, that is usually done or implanted in patients with congestive heart failure. Okay? Or even in patients who has arrhythmias, yung irregular yung beating ng heart. Okay? So, i-check nyo lagi yung area na yon, the skin surrounding those implantable objects. Okay? So, the skin over those areas or surrounding those areas are examined for thinning, which could indicate erosion of the device through the skin. Kasi, kumbaga, normal response ng skin natin yan. Foreign object yan. So, ang tendency ng skin natin is ilabas. Okay? I-expel. Itulak papalabas yung implantable devices na yan. Okay? So, pag numinipis yung skin at nakikita nyo na yung device sa labas, then that could mean that the device is being pushed out, okay, towards the surface. Okay, for the normal findings, you have yung kanina, remember, sabi ko, check for heaves or lifts. Okay? So, any pulsation seen over the apical area may give us an indication of the cardiac size. So, I've already explained this a while ago. Okay, there should be no lift or heaves in yung normal. A normal thoracic wall is termed as adynamic precordium. Okay, yan yung gagamitin ninyong term. So when you say adynamic precordial, there are no lift or heaves that are observed over the cardiac region. Kapag meron, you report it as dynamic precordium. So meaning you have a positive pulsation over the patient's skin. No lesions noted. So if ever there's any, kung may lesion, edi indicate nyo. Okay, what type of lesion have you seen and saan? And then pink palpebral conjunctiva. So if you're going to check for the presence of pallor or cyanosis. Okay, so pink palpebral conjunctiva. Okay, next is to check for the jugular venous pressure. So, hindi na natin to gagawin kasi hindi nyo ma-elevate yung bed ng pasyente dito. So, i-discuss ko lang siya. Okay? So, again, hindi na kasali sa return demonstration. So, how are you going to check for the jugular venous pressure? Remember the jugular vein? So, yung major vein sa neck region natin. So, dapat hindi yan visible. Okay? The jugular vein movement should not be visible over the patient's neck. Okay? If ever visible siya, this may indicate that your patient is having congestion. Okay, so paano gagawin natin dito? So you position the patient into the supine position with the head of the table or the bed elevated to 30 degrees. Okay, so kung siguro sa kama, kung gagawin niyo yun, naka-elevate ng unan, dalawang unan. And then using a tangential lighting, so yung nasa gilid, the side lighting, okay, observe for jugular venous pulsations in the neck. Tingnan nyo kung meron pumipintig. Okay, look for a rapid, double, or sometimes triple wave with each heartbeat. Use light pressure just above the sternal end, so sa may sternum of the clavicle to eliminate the pulsations and rule out a carotid origin. Anong difference niya sa carotid artery pulsations? Si carotid artery pulsations pumipitik. Ito parang wave, parang umaalon. Kaya nakalagay dyan, di ba, double, sometimes triple wave. Okay? Now, adjust the angle of the table elevation to bring out the venous pulsations. And then you try to identify the highest point of pulsation sa neck. Saan yung pinakamalakas na pag-alon na makikita ninyo? Using a horizontal line or a ruler from this point, measure vertically from the sternal angle as you can see in the picture. So, yung dulo nung ruler ninyo, nandoon sa highest point of pulsation sa neck, and then do sa taas ng manubrium, okay, the sternal angle, as you can see in the picture, maglagay ng isang ruler, and then i-measure kung saan nagtatransect yung nasa pinakailalim. Okay, ilang centimeters yan. Okay, so identify the highest point and using again a horizontal line from this point, measure vertically from the sternal angle. The measurement should be less than 4 centimeters in a normal healthy adult. Okay, less than 4. So, ayan, nakita niyo sa picture, venous pressure measured at greater than 3 cm or possibly 4 cm above the sternal angle or more than 8 to 9 centimeters in total distance above the right atrium is considered elevated above normal. So, above 4 centimeters, abnormal na yan. So, this may indicate an increase in the jugular venous pressure. So, baka may congestion yung pasyente natin. Okay? So, dapat less than 4. Ideally, less than 4. Okay, so these are other pictures when you measure for the jugular venous pressure. So again, you have to, again, elevate the head part of the bed of the patient. Now again, to compare between jugular pulsations and carotid palpations, jugular pulsations are rarely palpable, so hindi nyo sila makakapa, hindi nyo sila mararamdaman. Okay? Soft, rapid, undulating quality or wave-like yung quality, usually with 2 elevations and 2 throws per heartbeat, yung dalawang alon, kaya makikita niyo over the skin. Pulsations eliminated by light pressure on the veins just above the sternal end of the clavicle can be done. So, para ma-eliminate ninyo yung carotid pulsation, so hawakan sa may, ano tawag mo dito, above the sternal end of the clavicle. Okay, so whether sa left or sa right, walang problema kung alin doon ang itetest ninyo. And then, the level of the pulsations may change with the position of the patient and dropping as the patient becomes more upright. Okay, so ibig sabihin, mas mataas yung pulsations kapag mababa yung higa ng pasyente. Okay, as your patient sits upright, the pulsations are normally dropping. Okay? The level of the pulsations usually descends also with inspiration. So when the patient inhales, bumababa yung pulsations. Comparing it to carotid pulsations, which are palpable, meaning yan yung mga nakakapa sa liig. Yan actually yung pulse na chine-check. Yan ang pinakahuling pulse na nawawala. Kaya yan yung chine-check kapag naka-encounter tayo ng patients who are unconscious. Okay? So, bago tayo mag-start ng CPR, yan yung kinakapa sa leeg, the carotid pulsations. So, these are more palpable and has a more vigorous thrust with a single outward component. Kaya para siyang pumipitik, nagsisnap. Okay? Pulsations are not eliminated by application of pressure above the sternal end of the clavicle. The level of pulsations are unchanged by position, and the level of pulsations are not affected by inspiration. Okay? So, yun yung differences between internal jugular pulsations compared to the carotid pulsations. Then, ito yung precordial movement that I was talking about earlier. So, you position the patient in supine position with the head of the bed or the table slightly elevated. So, pwede na lagyan ng unan. Okay, examine the patient from the patient's, always examine the patient from the right side. Why? Okay, yung apex ng heart nasa left. So, kapag dun ka sa right, masisilip mo. Silipin ninyo kung meron kayong nakikitang pumipitik-pitik. Kaya dun you stand on the patient's right side. Inspect for precordial movement. So, tangential lighting will make movements more visible. So, yung ilaw sa gilid, manggagaling hindi sa taas. Palpate for precordial activity in general, and you may feel extras. Okay, such as thrills or exaggerated ventricular impulses. Ano yung thrills? 'Di ba kapag yung pulse ang kinapitan nyo pumipitik. Okay, pag may nakita kayong precordial activity, yung makikita nyo may pumipitik over the chest wall, hawakan ninyo. Okay, for palpation. Okay, try to feel if there are extras, quote unquote. Ano yung extras? Yung thrills. Ano ba yung thrills? Yung parang nanginginig. Okay, yun yung thrills or exaggerated ventricular impulses. Okay, then you palpate for the point of maximal impulse or the PMI or also known as the apical impulse. Okay? Huwag kayong malito doon ha. Pag sinabing point of maximal impulse, it is the same with the apical pulse or the apex of the heart. Okay, so saan nyo ipapalpate? On the fifth intercostal space, left mid-clavicular line. Okay, and then note the location, the size, and the quality of the impulse. And then next you do palpation. So, kamay ulit ang gamit. So, the entire precordium, ano ba yung precordium yan? Yung nakikita nyo hinahawakan yung doctor or yung nurse. The entire precordium is palpated methodically, okay, using the palms and the fingers beginning or starting at the apex. Yung part ng kamay na niya yan, yan yung nandyan yung apex of the heart, moving to the left sternal border and then to the base of the heart. So, baligtad sa lungs. Ang lungs yung nasa taas, ang apex yung nasa ilalim, yung base. Sa heart, baligtad. Sa apex, yung pointed portion nasa baba, and then the base of the heart is located above. Okay, normal finding. So, ganyan lang. Pag nag-redeem, hawakan nyo lang dyan yung pasyente ninyo. Okay, doon sa may apex, dyan sa below the nipple line, and then you move upward. Go to the, sa apex, and then go to the sternal border, and then sa base ng heart sa pinakataas. Okay, normal findings. No palpable pulsations felt over the aortic, the pulmonic, and the mitral valves. Apical pulsations can be felt upon palpation, no heaves, no thrills felt over the apex. So those are your normal findings. Now, percussion of the heart is not routinely done. Okay? So you will omit this one sa return demonstration ninyo. Kailan lang natin ginagawa yung percussion? So percussion is only being done if you suspect heart enlargement. Pero actually, uh, kuha na yun ng kuha na yun ng 2D echo. Okay? Makikita na yun kung enlarge yung heart. Now, if ever gagawin yung heart percussion, so this is done only to determine the borders of cardiac dullness. So, to determine nasan yung heart, and then ito na yung borders ng lungs. Okay, now for the return demonstration, hindi na ninyo gagawin yung percussion of the heart. Pero, sasabihin nyo pa rin ito. Okay, heart percussion is of limited value in cardiac assessment. This is only being used to determine the borders of cardiac dullness. Okay, so yun lang. So skip nyo na siya. And then you proceed to the next one, the last technique, which is auscultation. Now, if the heart sounds are faint, hindi nyo marinig, mahina, or undetectable, pwede nyong i-move yung pasyente. So, try listening to them with the patient seated and leaning forward. Pwede nyo siyang paupuin, ipalin ninyo forward. So, this is to bring the heart closer to the surface of the chest in order for you to hear clearly the heart sounds. Kung hindi nyo lang marinig na maigi. Or, parang nakita nyo dyan sa picture, naka-side lying yung pasyente. So, you now know how to properly position your patient, diba? So, yan yung side lying position. Okay, i-side lying nyo siya with the left side of the body na nandun sa depensa, yung nasa ilalim. Okay, so turn your patient to the left. Alright, so same rationale to bring the heart closer to the surface. Okay, what else? So, having the client seated and leaning forward is best suited for hearing high-pitched sounds that are related to semilunar valve problems. So, yung mga semilunar valves natin. Now, the left lateral recumbent position, the one that you can see in the picture, is best suited in low-pitched sounds like such as in mitral valve problems and for any extra heart sounds. Okay? So, yung isa, yung pag nakaupo, for the aortic and the pulmonic heart sounds, yung left lateral recumbent or the side-lying position is for mitral valve problems as well as the tricuspid valve problems. So, eto ulit yung apat na pwesto. The sites where you will auscultate the heart. APMT. Okay. For the aortic valve, again, place your stethoscope on the right second intercostal space, sternal border. Okay? And then for the pulmonic valve, place your stet in the second left intercostal space, sternal border. For the tricuspid valve, you place your stethoscope on the fourth. Di ba sabi ko kayo sa inyo kanina, fourth and fifth. Pero yung sa fifth kasi makipot. So, you place your stethoscope on the fourth intercostal space, sternal border. And then, so nakita nyo yan, yung attachment ng ribs natin to the sternum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, the first 5 ribs are known as the true ribs. Why? Because these are the only ribs that are attached directly into the sternum. Yung the rest, attached via a cartilage directly to dun sa fifth rib. Kung nakikita ninyo mga sumusunod na, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, hanggang 10th rib. False ribs yon. And then 11 and 12 are the floating ribs na wala silang cartilage. Okay? Okay, then lastly, you have the mitral valve. So the mitral valve also, mitral valve region corresponds also to the point of maximal impulse or the apex of the heart. So you place your stethoscope over the fifth intercostal space mid-clavicular line. So ulit, aortic valve, aortic sounds, place your stet on the second ICS, sternal border, right side. For the pulmonic sounds, place your stet on the second intercostal space, sternal border, left. For the tricuspid sound, place your stet on the fourth intercostal space, sternal border, left. And then the mitral valve or the apex of the heart for the PMI, place your stethoscope on the fifth intercostal space, left mid-clavicular line. So, those are the auscultation sites for the heart. Gusto ko makikita yan ng CI ninyo pag nag-retdem kayo. I-move ninyo yung stethoscope ninyo in order. Okay? So, AP, empty. Para hindi nyo makalimutan. Another diagram. You've seen this earlier naman. Okay? So, yung ulit yung auscultation sites over the chest wall. Then, the next slide, in the next slide, you will be hearing the different lung sounds. The heart sounds pala rather. The different heart sounds.
Hello and welcome back. My name is Dr. Coleman and in this tutorial we're covering heart sounds. So let's get straight down to business. Heart sounds are usually presented in medical notes in an abbreviated form and they're presented as S1, S2 and S1 again. The gap between S1 and S2 is known as systole, and this represents the period of time when the heart contracts. The space between S2 and S1 is known as diastole, and this represents the period of time when the heart relaxes. This diagram is really useful because it depicts one movement through the cardiac cycle and frames heart sounds temporally in relation to whether they occur during, before or after heart contraction or relaxation. Let's take a closer look at the S1 and S2 heart sound. The S1 heart sound is usually described as sounding like the word lub, and the S2 heart sound, dub. Let's put the heart sounds in so you can appreciate this better. Let's now take a closer look at what causes the S1 and S2 heart sounds. The S1 heart sound occurs when the tricuspid and mitral valves close simultaneously. This is followed by ventricular contraction, otherwise known as systole, and this forces blood through the pulmonary and aortic valves. And the S2 heart sound occurs when the pulmonary and aortic valves close. A period of heart muscle relaxation then occurs, and this is known as diastole, after which the cardiac cycle starts all over again. Let's now add in the heart sounds with this animation. The four heart valves and their respective heart sounds can be auscultated in the following anatomical areas. Let's now move on to S3, otherwise known as the third heart sound. This heart sound occurs during early diastole, just after S2. The word Kentucky is often used to illustrate the timing of the third heart sound in relation to S1 and S2. Let's add in the heart sound so you can appreciate this better. To better understand how the S3 heart sound occurs, we have to add in some blood flow to our animation. The first heart sound is caused by the closure of the tricuspid and mitral valves, and the second heart sound is caused by the closure of the pulmonary and aortic valves. The S3 heart sound is produced by the rapid filling of the ventricles during diastole. This produces audible vibrations which are heard as the S3 heart sound. Let's now add the heart sounds to the animation. We're going to start in slow motion, but then we'll speed it up to real time. The S3 heart sound is a low frequency sound heard best with the bell of the stethoscope at the apex of the heart. It is heard in early diastole and is often referred to as a ventricular gallop. It is caused by rapid ventricular filling, which distends the ventricle and tautens papillary muscles. The S3 heart sound is a physiological occurrence and can normally be heard in children and in young healthy adults below the age of 30. But the S3 heart sound can also be an abnormal finding and typically can be found in pathology such as cardiomyopathies, aortic and mitral regurgitation, and constrictive pericarditis. Let's now take a look at the fourth heart sound, otherwise known as S4. The S4 heart sound occurs just before S1 in late diastole. The word Tennessee is often used to help describe the rhythm produced by the added fourth heart sound. Let's add in the heart sound so you can better understand it. Let's now take a closer look at why the fourth heart sound occurs. Now, because the S4 heart sound occurs momentarily before S1, I have changed our graphical representation so that it now starts with diastole and ends with systole. Blood flows into the atria and ventricles during diastole, and the fourth heart sound occurs when atrial contraction forces blood into abnormal, non-compliant ventricles. This produces audible vibrations which are heard as the S4 heart sound. The S1 heart sound is produced by closure of the tricuspid and mitral valves, and the S2 heart sound is produced by the closure of the pulmonary and aortic valves. Let's add in the heart sounds now so that you can see this work. We'll start this one in slow motion and then speed it up to real time. The S4 heart sound is heard best at the cardiac apex with the bell of the stethoscope. It is heard in late diastole and is often described as an atrial gallop rhythm. It occurs due to blood being forced into non-compliant ventricles, which means this heart sound only occurs in conditions where the ventricles are particularly stiff and do not relax normally. The term diastolic dysfunction describes this phenomenon. So as a result, the fourth heart sound is never physiological. It can be heard abnormally in conditions such as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy and systemic hypertension. Now this brings us to the end of the tutorial. If you found this video helpful, make sure you smash that subscribe button and share this video with your friends. As always, thanks for stopping by, I really appreciate it. I will see you for the next tutorial.
So when you auscultate the heart, auscultate in all anatomic areas. So yun yung diniscuss natin, yung apat. Listen for the S1 and the S2 sounds. So yun yung lub-dub, lub-dub. S1 sound rather is produced by the closure of the AV valve or the atrioventricular valves. Ano yun? Mitral and the tricuspid valve. Okay, that's the S1. S2 is brought about by the closure of the semilunar valves, the aortic and the pulmonic. Tandaan nyo yan ha, yung S1, closure of the AV valves. S2 is the closure of the semilunar valve. Lahat sila pag-close. Parang gate o pintuan natin, pag nagsara may tunog. Yan yon. So, yung S1 and S2, yun yung maririnig ninyong lub-dub, lub-dub na heart sound ninyo. Okay, so S1 is best heard, take note of this, over the mitral valve. sa 5th intercostal space, left mid-clavicular line. Okay, the S2 sound is best heard over the aortic valve. Saan yung aortic valve? The 2nd intercostal space, right sternal border. So, doon nyo siya mas malakas na maririnig. Then you try to listen for abnormal heart sounds like S3, S4 sounds, and murmur. Ano ba yung mga murmur? Murmurs are whooshing sound. Na parang it's like the sound created when you have a turbulent flow. Di ba yung mga ilog, yung mga streams natin, kapag mabilis yung daloy ng tubig, may sound na napoproduce. And that's murmur. Okay? So yung sounds na yon, yung murmur na yan is being heard when blood passes through an incompetent heart valve. Pag hindi nagsasarang maigi. Meron yan, love-the-bush. Parang ganon. Okay? So, may pangatlong sound kayong maririnig na parang whooshing sound. Murmur yon. Okay? So, sabi nung teacher ko sa cardio na murmur. Okay? So, that's murmur. Okay? So, then you count the heart rate. Okay, for 1 full minute. Ang normal heart rate natin for 1 full minute is 80 to 100 beats per minute. Normal auscultatory findings sa S1 and S2 can be heard on all anatomic site. No abnormal heart sounds heard like murmurs, S3 and S4. Then the cardiac rate is ganito. Ilan yung nabilang ninyo? Okay? So, S3 sounds and S4 sounds are abnormal heart sounds. Pero, minsan sa mga newborns natin, na medyo mga babies pa, mga neonates actually, mga first a month from the time of delivery, minsan meron silang normal physiologic murmur na tinatawag kasi yung hindi pa masyadong fully developed yung cardiovascular system nila. But as the baby grows older, dapat mawawala yan. Okay, yung mga abnormal heart sounds. Okay, so that is for heart assessment. Then for the second part of the discussion, we will have the peripheral circulation. So as the name implies, peripheral circulation, so we are going to check here the extremities of the patient. Yung circulation, we will not be including yet yung mga range of motion. Sa iba yon, sa finals na yon, kasama yung sa musculoskeletal. So we'll just be checking on the peripheral circulation. Inspect the extremities for color. Dapat even yung color, di ba? So pare-pareho. So if ever there will be areas of hyper or hypopigmentation, you should report it. Is there edema? Meron bang mga lesions or any ulcerations, varicosities, mga enlarged veins? Take note of that. Nasaan? Sa may legs ba yan? Or sa anterior or sa posterior portion ng legs? And also check the hair and the nails for any abnormal changes. The hands, the arms, the legs, and the feet are observed for skin and vascular changes. And take note of any abnormal findings that you may have or that you may find, including number 1, a decrease in the capillary refill time indicates a slower peripheral flow rate from sluggish reperfusion. So, a slow or a decreased capillary refill time is often observed in patients with hypotension o yung mababa yung blood pressure or in patients with heart failure. So, the capillary refill time provides a basis for estimating the rate of peripheral blood flow. So, how fast na nagkakaroon na re-replenish yung blood flow toward the extremities. So, how are you going to check for the capillary refill time? You briefly compress the nail bed. So, i-press ninyo using the your thumb. Okay? Briefly compress the nail bed so that it blanches. Ano yung blanches? Yung mamumuti. And then release the pressure. So, siguro press ninyo yung nail bed for about 1 to 2 seconds and then release. So, dapat, pag nirelease, reperfusion will immediately take place. So, how will you know if the area is being reperfused? Pag bumalik na yung kulay. So, the nail bed from uh, yung color white, when you blanched it, it should readily go back to its pinkish, normal pinkish color within 3 seconds. Okay, so this is the evidence that reperfusion occurs. Vascular changes that you will be able to observe results from a decrease in arterial circulation, and this includes, number one, a decrease in the quality or the loss of pulse. So pag nakita nyo tong mga manifestations na to, this means that the arterial circulation of your patient toward that area is compromised. Okay, so when, number one, again, there's a decrease in the quality or the loss of pulse. Humihina yung pulso. Okay, doon sa isang side, tapos sa kabila, normal naman yung strength. Okay, or eventually, loss of pulse. Nawala na yung pulso. If there's any discomfort or pain on that area, there's paresthesia, yung namamanid, yung parang may tumutusok-tusok. Okay, numbness, a decrease in the temperature on that portion of the extremity, pallor, and loss of movement. So, lahat ng to, ang pinaka-cause niya is a decrease in the arterial circulation toward the extremity. Okay, so whereas hematoma, or yun yung blood clot, hematoma or a localized collection of clotted blood in the tissue is commonly seen in patients who have had a traumatic incident that involved that specific area. Next is clubbing of the fingers. So, nakita nyo na ito when we discussed about the hair and the nails. Okay, prelims pa yata or midterms. Okay, so clubbing of the fingers implies or suggests chronic hemoglobin desaturation as seen in congenital heart diseases. Actually, hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin nila hindi pa rin ma-pinpoint yung exact reason bakit nagkakaroon ng clubbing of the fingers. So, pero up to now, ang nagiging nakikita nilang theory is that nagkakaroon ng problema with perfusion, kaya kumakapal yung nails, at saka it is being pushed outward. So, sa pictures on the side, you can see yung isa, the normal anatomy of the nails. So, tingnan niyo hindi siya hindi naka-curve. Compare it with a club finger, yung may kulay blue na background, 'di ba? Napakalaki ng difference. So, para siyang naging yung sa birds, 'di ba? Yung claws ng birds naka-curve siya. Now, lower extremity ulcers are observed in patients also with with arterial or venous insufficiency. So, as well as itong ating clubbing of the finger. So, paano natin i-check? You can do this at home. You can do it right now. Okay? How to check if you have clubbing of your fingernails? So, tingnan nyo yung picture dyan. So, that is called as the Shamroth sign. So, pagtapatin ninyo, kahit yung index finger. Okay? So, pagtapatin ninyo yung daliri ninyo. Okay? The nail beds adjacent to each other. So, as you can see, yung angle between the two nails is maliit lang. Okay? Very small yung angulation. Compared to a clubbed finger, look at that. Okay? So, napakalaki nung angle between the fingernails. Okay? So, can you appreciate that? Yung mga yung may arrow, kung may black arrow dyan. So, tingnan niyo yung angulation. Okay? So, dun sa normal fingernails, parang nagpo-form pa tayo ng diamond shape space dyan, di ba? Dun sa may nail bed. Whereas, dun sa clubbed fingers, wala. Okay? Nawala ng space, tas magkahiwalay na yung fingernails. And then we palpate for the temperature, again for the presence of edema, tenderness, and symmetry of pulses. So we have to check the different pulse points. Okay, so i-discuss ito sa fundamental sa inyo, sa vital signs, pero at least now you know the different pulse points where you can check the arterial pulses. Next is checking for the presence of edema. Okay, manas in Tagalog. Now, peripheral edema, kasi meron tayong uh, ibang klase pang mga edema. Okay, so yung peripheral edema, yun yung involved dito sa extremities. So, pwede tayong magkaroon ng periorbital edema, okay, edema sa face, pwede yan. So, commonly, eto, since nasa circulation tayo, peripheral circulation, so this involves the extremities. So, peripheral edema tayo. So, edema is the accumulation of fluid in the peripheral edema is the accumulation of fluid in the dependent areas of the body, like the feet and the legs, the sacrum in bedridden patients. So, yung mga pasyente who are in bed for prolonged period of time, dyan natin hahanapin, dyan tayo mag-check for edema, the sacrum. Then, how are we going to assess for the presence of pitting edema? So, as you can see in the picture, magkakaroon ng depression or ng lubog. So, a depression will occur over an area of pressure. So, how are you going to do this? So, using your index finger, press firmly on that on a certain portion of the extremity. So, this is usually being done in the anterior aspect of the leg, mga about siguro mga about ano yan, mga 3 to 5 inches from the ankle, from the ankle region of your patient. Okay, so press firmly for 5 seconds with either your thumb or your index finger over the dorsum of each foot. Ito yung mga areas to check: the dorsum of each foot, behind each medial malleolus, sa likod ng medial malleolus, yung buto dyan sa gitna, okay, sa medial aspect ng paa. Saan yung dorsum of the foot? Yung dyan sa harap ng paa natin. Okay? So, sa harap ng paa, sa likod ng medial malleolus, and over the shins. Yan nakikita nyo yung pinipress dyan, yan yung shin area. Okay? So, a pitting edema is being graded as either absent or present. So, meron tayong scale na gagamitin. So, may grading. Okay, so grade 1 is may indentation. Yung indentation meaning lubog. Okay, you are going to do this or perform this sa return demonstration na. A 0 to 2 millimeters indentation which rebounds immediately. May lubog pero bumabalik naman agad. So, meaning before 3 seconds, nakabalik na siya. Grade 1. Okay? So, pero may lubog kayong nakita. Then, grade 2 edema is you have 3 to 4 millimeters indentation, mas malalim, and rebounds in less than 15 seconds. So, medyo mabagal-bagal na siya bago bumalik. Grade 3 edema is you have 5 to 6 millimeters indentation, and it takes up to 30 seconds before it rebounds. Okay? And then grade 4, 8 millimeters indentation, so more than 20 seconds to rebound. Pansin niyo, mas madali niyo matandaan, 2, 4, 6, 8. So for grade 1, 2 millimeters indentation, grade 2, 4 millimeters, grade 3, 6 millimeters, and then grade 4 is 8 millimeters indentation. 2, 4, 6, 8 para mas madali niyo matandaan. Okay, and then for grade 1, rebounds immediately. Grade 2, it rebounds in less than 15 seconds. 30 seconds naman, times 2, yung grade 3, and then more than 20 seconds before it rebounds for grade 4 edema. Okay, so pitting edema is observed in patients with heart failure and in those with peripheral vascular diseases, like deep vein thrombosis or with chronic venous insufficiency. Okay? I-discuss nyo yung mga yan sa medical surgical nursing. And commonly, for patients with kidney problems, okay, nagmamanas yan, nag-iedema yan. Okay, so peripheral. Pero most commonly, yung mga nagde-develop ng peripheral edema because of circulation problems yan. Okay, so ayan yung picture, yung figure below on how you can demonstrate, and then yung illustration of the different edema gradings. So these are the different pulse points. This was taught to you in your anatomy. Okay, so different pulse points in the body. You have the temporal artery. So this is located at the side of the forehead. Maybe kapag pagod na tayo, lagi nararamdaman nyo yung nagpo-pulsate. Okay, you have the facial artery located in the lower jaw. Then you have the carotid artery, the neck area. Again, malaki ang artery na yan and malakas yung pulsation. So that's the last artery that disappears before in times of shock, okay, or even before the patient dies. Okay. Then next, you have the brachial artery located in the inner elbow. Yan naman yung ginagamit na artery when we take the blood pressure of your patient. The radial artery located in the wrist. Yan yung ginagamit natin. That's the most accessible uh, pulse point. That is the one that we commonly use when we take the pulse rate of the patient. And then we have also one artery in the groin called sa singit, called as the femoral artery. Then one at the back of the knee, called as the popliteal artery. And then we have one in the inner ankle. Okay. Nandiyan yan sa may medial malleolus. Okay. Malapit sa medial malleolus. Yan, posterior tibial ang tawag dyan. So, yung buto dyan, that's the medial malleolus, yung katabi niya. Dun kayo magpapalpate dun sa hollow portion after the medial malleolus. And then you have the dorsalis pedis located in front of the foot. Pwede nyo ipalpate yan ngayon. Okay? Now, yung pulse rate, you have to get the patient's pulse rate. Okay, so primarily for palpation, you have to do this. Aside from edema checking, you get the patient's pulse rate. The normal pulse rate varies from as low as 50 beats per minute in healthy athletic young adults to rates to about 100 beats per minute after an exercise. Okay, or during times of excitement. So pwedeng tumaas. Pero clinically, mababa na yung 50 eh. Okay, so yung normal pulse rate natin is 60 to 100 okay, beats per minute, pero yung lower border na talaga yung 60. Okay? Now, in times of anxiety, this frequently raises the pulse rate, lalo na during a physical examination or during a laboratory workup. Ako dati ganyan, ano lang kami, drug test at saka chest x-ray, ninenervyos ako. So, pag binipi ako, mataas yung blood pressure, mataas yung pulse rate. Okay? Now, if the rate is higher than expected, it is appropriate to reassess it near the end of the physical examination when the patient is relaxed. Kaya hindi yung, alam nyo, yung clinic nyo nasa 3rd floor. Naghagdanan yung pasyente. Pagdating sa inyo, kuhanan nyo agad ng vital signs. Mataas talaga yan kasi hinihingal pa siya. Let the patient rest first for about 5 minutes before you take the vital signs so that the patient is relaxed already. So yung values that you will be getting, the readings that you will be getting is accurate. Okay? So pag sabihin nyo, nahihingal pa ba kayo o ninenervyos po ba kayo? Ulitin natin mamaya yung pagkuha natin ng pulse. So those are the different pulse points. So you try to look for and palpate for the different pulse points. Now, special mention to the carotid artery. So be careful. Malaki yang si carotid artery. Easily palpable yan. As you can see, ayan yung location niya sa neck. So sa gilid siya ng trachea. Ito yung mga special precautions natin. When you are palpating for the carotid artery, you have to palpate lightly. Okay? So, very light lang dapat kasi the carotid artery contains yung mga pressure receptors natin. So, meaning a change in the pressure over the artery can either cause an increase or a decrease in the heart rate. Pag masyadong madiin, okay? Pag masyadong madiin yung pressure nyo over the carotid artery, bumabagal yung pulsations. Okay? So, to the point na minsan nawawalan ng pulsation. Kaya we don't palpate an artery, especially the carotid artery, bilateral sabay. Okay, we don't palpate the two carotid arteries at the same time. Why? Baka tumigil yung blood supply papunta sa brain, mag-pass out yung pasyente ninyo. Okay? So, it has to be reported. So, you count the rate for 1 full minute and then you check for the rhythm. Equal ba yung rhythm? Pantay ba yung pagitan ng kada pintig, okay, ng artery? So, if it is regular, if it's the rate is normal, and then you report it as NRRR, normal rate, regular rhythm. Okay? Now, you feel for any humming vibrations or any thrills, yun nga yung parang nanginginig when you palpate kasi normally wala, ang mafe-feel nyo lang pumipintig. Okay? And you check for a bruit. So, a bruit is a murmur-like sound. A murmur is a whooshing sound because of a turbulent blood flow heard over the heart. If a turbulent blood flow is heard over an artery, then that is called as a bruit. Okay, that's how you pronounce that. Bruit. Hindi yan bruit. Okay, bruit. So, kapag over an artery, bruit. Over the heart, murmur. Kapag may problema are the valves. Okay, so don't forget that. Normal rate, regular rhythm. So, you count the pulse rate. 1, 2, 3. Hindi tayo gagamit ng pulse oximeter. I want you to do the counting manually for 1 full minute. So, what do we mean by pulse rhythm? So, the rhythm of the pulse is also a very important factor to assess over an arterial location. Okay, so it is as important as the heart rate. Okay, a minor variation in the regularity of the pulse is normal. So, lalo na kapag medyo anxious yung pasyente. So, the pulse rate, particularly in young people, increases during inhalation and slows down during exhalation. So, this is called as sinus arrhythmia. Arrhythmia, absence of the normal rhythm. Yung parang medyo, kasi dapat yung pagpintig, dapat equal. Okay? So, yung spacing yan. So, I cannot demonstrate it to you kasi you have to feel it for yourself. Yung space between beats, dapat even. Pag may naramdaman kayo medyo humaba yung susunod na beat or mas umikli yung susunod na beat, that is called as sinus arrhythmia. And that can be normal. Okay? So, minsan, lalo na pag very anxious yung pasyente, okay, during the examination. But, if relax naman yung patient and nag-develop ng arrhythmia, this is a very dangerous condition kasi nasisira yung normal rhythm ng heart. Therefore, the blood supply toward the different parts of the body can also be compromised. So, dapat ginagamot yan. Okay? Pero again, lalo na in young people, like in teenagers like you, pwedeng magkaroon yan. Lalo na pag napapansin niyo na pag nag-i-inhale, bumibilis. Okay, tapos pag nag-exhale, bumabagal. That's sinus arrhythmia. You call that a sinus arrhythmia and that is normal. So you have now checked the rate, the rhythm, and then lastly for the pulse, you check for the quality. Okay? Is it strong or weak? Yun yung sa quality. Okay, so nursing alert, do not palpate temporal or carotid artery simultaneously because it is possible to decrease the blood flow to the brain which may cause your patient to pass out. Okay, mahimatay yung pasyente ninyo. Okay, kasi nawala ng blood supply. Now, the quality or the amplitude, quality or we also call it as amplitude of the pulse can be described as either absent, diminished, normal, or bounding. Okay? Ano ba yung bounding? Yung sobrang lakas ka, dadampi mo lang ng kamay mo, nafe-feel nyo muna agad yung pagpulso. Okay? It should be assessed bilaterally because there are patients na ang may problema lang with the pulse, with the quality of the pulse is one-sided lang. So, yung one side lang ang may bara. Yung kabila, wala. Okay? So, meron yan, yung mga vascular diseases natin are behaving like that. So, you have to assess bilaterally, one at a time. Okay, scales can also be used to rate the strength of the pulse, as you can see on the right. Okay, so the numerical classification is quite subjective. Therefore, when documenting the pulse quality, it helps to specify a scale range. Now, for example, for the left radial artery, it ranges from 3 to 4, plus 3 to plus 4. Okay? So, ano ba yung mga plus-plus na yan? So, you give a grade of 0 if the pulse is not palpable or absent. Wala kayong pulso na makapa. Dead ball. Yung patient natin. Chugi yung pasyente. Okay? So, patay na, baka patay na yung patient ninyo. So, for this, you check also the respiration yung kasunod. Pag 0, okay, yung inyong pulse quality, baka naman humihinga yung patient, block lang talaga yung artery toward that extremity, and then you correlate. 0 o non-palpable yung pulse, tapos makikita nyo ang puti na nung kamay. So, baka may blockage lang. Tapos humihinga naman yung patient. Conscious naman yung patient. So, may blockage lang. No need to worry. Okay? Then, plus 1. You give a score of plus 1 if the pulse is weak or thready. Mahina yung pulse rate. The pulse is difficult to palpate and may be obliterated with pressure na kapag mas lalo yung diniinan, mas lalo siyang nawawala. So, this takes practice. Okay? I have had plenty of patients already na ganyan. So, talagang magko-concentrate ka talaga. Lalo na if you are new to this, so talagang papakiramdaman ninyo yung pulso. Hahanapin ninyo yung pulso. And I want you to practice at home. There at home. Lahat pulsuhan nyo. Pulsuhan mo yung sarili mo. Pulsuhan mo yung kapatid mo. Then your father, then your mother, even your pinsan, kung sino yung kasama mo dyan sa bahay. Para ma-practice mo, ito pala yung pakiramdam ng pulso. Ito pala yung pulso. Okay? So, we usually make use of the radial pulse. O sa anatomy, tinuro na yan sa inyo kung saan nyo makikita yung radial pulse. Okay, and then you refer to the 3 slides back. Okay, nandun yung radial pulse. Then plus 3. Okay, pulse is easy to palpate. Ito yung normal. Okay, easy to palpate, full pulse. Okay, and kahit medyo idiin mo siya, the pulse cannot be obliterated. So, hindi siya nawawala basta-basta. And plus 4 is a strong bounding pulse. This may be abnormal, but it depends on the case. Okay? Kasi baka mamaya nga, kaakyat lang ng 4 floors ng pasyente mo, tapos kinuhanan mo agad ng pulso, talagang bounding yan. Pagpahingahin nyo muna and then you recheck. Pagpahingahin nyo ng mga 15 minutes and then go recheck the pulse. Okay? So, yan yung mga different. Again, yung grading natin for the pulse quality is highly subjective. So, if you can give a scale range like 3 to 4 or 2 to 3, you can do so. Okay? So, para mas medyo on the safe side kayo pag nag-grade kayo ng pulse quality. Okay, so for the normal findings, so ito yung ire-report ninyo, lahat-lahat for the assessment of the peripheral circulation. So the skin is warm to touch, no lesions noted, pink nail beds, capillary refill time is less than 3 seconds, normal rate, regular rhythm, or the pulse has a normal rate and regular rhythm. Yan na lang ang gawin ninyong dialogue. The pulse has a normal rate and regular rhythm with a plus 3 pulse quality. Okay? So, wag nyo sabihin capillary refill time is normal. Ano yung normal? Quantify. Okay? Capillary refill time is less than 3 seconds. Alright? So, that's the last slide for the heart and the peripheral assessment natin. So, this will be the last topic for the semifinals. And I guess baka after na semifinals week yung return demonstration ninyo. Okay? So, again, thank you for attending the class. You can review, replay the video, and then I will look for a good YouTube video, so that you can also have other references for the heart assessment and peripheral circulation assessment. Okay, so thank you everybody, and I hope you learned something from today's lecture.